and I don't even want to say that's like making me feel bad, but I feel like he's Stephen King. It's a book about writers. He is amazing to me. Like, I bow down to him on a writer level completely. I'm definitely on the fence about the book, though. I'm already like, I want a little bit more than just Paul right now. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse, and welcome to another reading vlog. I say another like I do this all the time. Welcome to a reading vlog, guys. It is Sunday, September 13th, and I made a promise to myself this year that this winter there were many books I was going to read, but one in particular, and I haven't read it yet. So next Sunday, March 20th, is spring equinox. So I have 1 week of winter left. Somewhere in my little brain, I was thinking that daylight savings spring forward, which is today, was also spring, but that's totally not the case. So without further ado, I'm going to start reading Misery today by Stephen King. So I have talked about this book multiple times since the winter of 2020. And I read my first fiction Stephen King book last year when I read Pet Sematary. And I was just like, I'm going to deep dive on him. I'm going to read his books. I bought Misery because it's a book about a writer. I'm all in. This is going to be amazing. I have read nothing. I've read absolutely nothing else by him. So I'm finally doing it. So many of you guys have recommended it. So many people have said I should read it, need to read it, have to read it. Why haven't I read it? So I'm going to read it. And much like I did with Pet Sematary, although this is just sort of coincidence that I'm doing another reading vlog on another Stephen King book, but I do have the movie of Misery saved on my DVR. So I'm going to read the book and then watch the movie and share thoughts, feelings, and all the other stuff. This book came out in 1987. I have managed to stay spoiler-free for this, other than what I have seen in trailers for the movie and little scenes here and there, but I am not spoiled for this book or this ending, which I feel like is kind of amazing given that it was 1987. But I think I will probably be spoilery in this reading vlog. I'll let you guys know, of course, if and when I start to go spoilery, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. So it did snow here yesterday. It barely stuck, which I'm not mad about. And it's supposed to be 65 by Thursday, which, like, it's crazy, but not crazy. It's crazy because the real feel when I woke up this morning was 7. So 65 by Thursday feels a little bit nuts, but I am going to channel all my inner Maine snowy vibes. I'm just assuming this takes place in Maine because Stephen King and snow. I don't even know. I'm probably making that part up. And I'll let you guys know what I think about it. But I thought it would be fun to document my journey of this book, but we're gonna go in. Okay, so let me give you a brief synopsis of the book in case you don't know it, because I wouldn't be able to say it off the top of my head, or in case you're interested in reading it. So this is about best-selling novelist Paul Sheldon, and he has finally met his biggest fan, Annie Wilkes. So Annie is dismayed to discover Paul's plans to kill off Misery Chastain, the heroine of his beloved series. Annie is more than a rabid reader. She's Paul's nurse, tending his shattered body after an automobile accident. She is also his captor, imprisoning him in her isolated house where no one knows he is. Annie wants Paul to write his greatest work just for her. She has a lot of ways to spur him on. One is a needle, another is an axe, and then there's the blowtorch. So it says this is the winner of the Bram Stoker Award for Best Novel, a classic film starring Kathy Bates and James Caan. And at the time of this publication, it says, recently adapted for the stage starring Bruce Willis and Laurie Metcalf. Misery is one of his most brilliant and formidably unnerving books ever. This was a stage play? I didn't know that. Not that it matters either way. So here we go, you guys. I'm reading Misery. Hi, it's like 6 o'clock on Sunday. I'm already totally thrown by the fact that it's not dark outside, and I mean, technically it's 5 o'clock, but it's 6 o'clock in daylight savings land. I'm already all mixed up and messed up, but it's totally fine. So I just finished doing some yoga. I'm sitting in a rocking chair, which is why I'm moving, and yoga was good. I just did something light. I try and do something every day, which is just sort of like aspirational, but today I just wanted to do something easy and light, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted, exactly what I needed. So that was great. I feel like I'm like super, yikes. There we go. Better. I feel like I've put a lot of pressure on myself with Misery and expectations for it, but we'll just see what happens. So I'm just keeping a good thought. I've just heard so many great things about it, but I've also heard some people who don't like it. And I know came out in 87, so 97, I'm like 35 years late for this story, so we'll see. But I also feel like his book's like, I doubt that his book is not going to be good 35 years later, but like I'm picking it up way into it. I don't even know. I'm making no sense at all. I feel like I've put a lot of hyped expectations on the book and on my enjoyment of it, and I hope the book meets my expectations. How about that? I hope I love it. I hope I love every book that I pick up. So I'm just nervous about it. How about that? I'm nervous about it because I feel like I've put a lot of noise around the book and made a lot of chatter, commentary, like blah, blah, blah. It's going to be great. I'm going to read it. This book. I feel like I put a lot of pressure around myself in the book. How about that? Does that make any sense? I don't know. All right. I don't know. I'm going to go because I'm rambling. And like I said, I feel like I said it, I don't know if I said it to you guys or if I said it in one of the videos I was filming today. I feel like daylight savings has made me a little wonky today. Like I definitely feel like I'm a little bit more weird than usual, weirder than normal. Maybe this is just what it is. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna go. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey, what's going on? It's Monday, March 14th, and I just wanted to hop on with some first impressions of Misery. So I'm barely into it. I am on page 32, so like barely into it. I started it last night. I think I read 20 pages last night, if that, so I've like barely even looked at it today. So point number one, it takes place in Colorado, not Maine. So that's me making Stephen King-like assumptions that he's in Maine. And what I do like so far is that we have jumped right into it. So we are in the action, we are in the situation, and Paul is with Annie out of the gate, and we're already getting some good creep vibes right out of the gate. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that there's not going to be like a 70-page buildup before something happens. But my first feeling right now, and I will attribute some of this to the fact that I have not had a chance to just sit and get lost in the book, is I don't know how I'm going to do with 347 pages of just the two of them in a cabin. So I say this knowing that I had no issue with Where Are You, Survive the Night? I had no issue with Survive the Night by Riley Sager of two people in a car. But already, and it could just be like I said, because I haven't had a chance to dive into it, although in all fairness, it did take me a little bit to get into a zone with Survive the Night 2, which is two people in a car, which I just said. I'm already like, I want a little bit more than just Paul right now, but I might change my mind once we get into it. So initial out of the gate comments, for the record, wanted to put them out there. So way more to come. I also got the audiobook from my library, so I'm going to listen to that a little bit while I go for a walk tonight, just to try and get kind of in the zone of just sort of like tone and feeling and voice and all of that stuff, which I did with Pet Sematary, and it really worked for me. And I got to the point with Pet Sematary where I was like, I am in it, now I need to read the book, and I don't want to listen to the audio anymore, and I want to experience it in book form. So I'm hoping just even starting the audiobook will just sort of like shift my mindset into the zone of like, all right, I'm in. So I obviously want to know what's going to happen next. I'm not like DNFing it or saying it's bad or anything like that, but I'm not immediately drawn in just yet to the voice of the book. So let's see what happens. It's so beautiful outside. It's so much nicer than I thought it was going to be. I don't know why. It always feels colder inside. It feels warmer inside in the summer and colder inside in the winter. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. This feels so good. There's a bunch of kids playing in the backyard. They probably think I'm the weird lady talking to myself. It's totally fine. So I am listening to Misery. I'm definitely taking the audiobook. It actually is narrated by a woman, which I'm surprised because, like I said, it's Paul's POV, so I assumed it would be a dude. but it is not. So far so good. And this is definitely putting me more in like a mood for the book. Like I feel like it's setting a good tone. It's giving me good, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like putting me in the right frame of mind, the right atmosphere. Like I feel like I'm like in the story now, and it's setting a tone that I wasn't getting just from those 30 pages that I read. So I'm going to keep on listening. I'm going to keep on walking. I'm going to keep on enjoying this beautiful, oh, I should do it this way. Look, I'm going to blind you guys. There. Ugh. I know what happens every day. Sunrises, sunsets, but it's still one of my favorite things. I feel like you can see it better now. Or maybe it's blinding me out. Anyway, all right. I'm going to keep walking. Try not to be labeled the weird lady. I was the crotchety old lady on Friday. Today I'm the weird lady, and it's all in good fun. Hi everybody. I realized I did not do a check-in this morning about Misery, so I'm doing it now. It's like 5:45. Again, thank you daylight savings. I'm obviously out. It's like 60, here comes the car. It was like 64 degrees when I first went out, and it's not like super sunny. It feels great. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Not wearing a full winter coat for the first time. Yes, I'm wearing layers, but you know, it's fine. So, Misery. I'm listening to the audiobook of it, which I very much enjoy, which I think I have told you guys already. Like I'm enjoying the audio format. It's working for me. I'm definitely on the fence about the book though. So I'm like 47% of the way in. And I don't know what I was, expecting. Cameras on that side. I think I thought I was going to get like pulled in immediately by the story, and I'm not dismissing the writing. There's definitely some good lines in it. I like the writer commentary, writer point of view in it. Like there's pieces I like, but I'm not blown away. And I have intentionally not read a lot about the book because I didn't want to be spoiled for it. So I don't know if it's just like a slower burn. Like I knew it wasn't going to be a fast-paced thriller, but I think I thought I was just going to be like completely sucked in by the amazingness of it. And I'm just like, okay. So like Annie is definitely super creepy, and I'm feeling some of the tension. I'm just not as wowed as I thought I would be yet. So maybe I will be as time goes on. We'll see. I will say one thing I'm struggling with is the book within the book, which normally I love. But I don't know if it's because the book within the book here is, I feel like it's like the 1800s or like the 1890s or something. If it's just because it's not a contemporary book within a book, it takes me out of the story completely. So I loved it in Home Before Dark. I loved it in Magpie Murders. I'm going to blank on everything else. Riley Sager's always the first one I think of. But normally I like that as a feature, and I'm just not totally feeling it here. Sorry, I felt a pebble. So we'll see. So I'm totally in it. I'm invested. It's weird. I feel like my mind is playing tricks on me. I feel like the narrator sounds like Kathy Bates, but I don't know if why would Kathy Bates mirror the audiobook narrator? I just need to turn around because this guy, I feel like you can't tell. All right, I'll turn around the other way so you guys can see. Kathy Bates would not imitate the audiobook narrator, but her voice sounds like Kathy Bates, and I don't know if it's just my mind playing tricks on me because I know she plays Annie in the movie. But anyway, that's where I am at this point. So I'm going to keep walking, keep listening, keep looking at the beautiful sky, and I will let you guys know how I'm feeling about stuff. But Tuesday, it's a good day. It's been a good day. I'm so happy to be outside. I'm so confused. When did Paul lose his thumb? How does he have no thumb? He's waving to Annie in the window and his left thumb is missing. She must have cut off his thumb before his ankle, but I thought the ankle was like the first physical thing she did to him. When did he lose his thumb? I'm so confused. Okay, so I didn't miss the thumb thing. I feel better because I feel like I'm paying attention to this book. I'm like, how did he lose a thumb and I missed this part? So he mentions his missing thumb, and then we get to go backwards in time and see the thumbectomy. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. She brings him the birthday cake with his thumb stuck in it. She's so messed up, but kind of laughing at that. Kind of appreciating her. Be good or you're gonna have to eat the piece with the thumb in it, and like maybe the thumb. Oh, I don't know what to think about this book. I'm really in like this mode of, like, I'm definitely enjoying parts of it, but I feel like I should be loving it more than I am, and I don't not like it, but I feel like I should love it, and I don't love it. And I don't even want to say that's like making me feel bad, but I feel like he's Stephen King. It's a book about writers, and I'm appreciating the writing side of it. I love like the uber fan of it, and I've been watching a lot of stuff. I went deep on Scream 5, like now that I've seen it twice. I feel like I've mentioned this to you guys maybe in other videos. I'm legit obsessed because I tend to obsess about stuff, as you know, a person does. And I've been watching like a lot of interviews and spoiler stuff and stuff with the directors, and talking about the fandom for the first 4 movies and like the Wes Craven movies, and like the pressure for them to take, I don't want to say they took over the franchise, but like to be now directing a new movie in the franchise, and just the fandom of it all. And there's a lot of comparisons like with Star Wars and how people went berserk when The Force Awakens came out, and like the fandom. So the writer fandom I'm finding really interesting, and I definitely have been upset with my writers when they've killed off people that I liked, whether it's in like a standalone or a series, and with TV shows and in movies. Like when the character that you love, the character you connect with, or the character you're like in love with is the one that it's not so fun. So anyway, I'm gonna pause right now and stick with that image of Paul's birthday cake with the thumb stuck in it. Annie girl. Annie. So yeah, I don't want to tell you what page I'm on, because I mean it's spoilery, but at the same time I have like I don't want to tell you what page. I hate when people do that. Do you ever have that thing happen? I know I made like such a rant about people spoiling books and stuff, but in all fairness, I'm like disclosing that this is a spoiler, but I'm not going to tell you what page I'm on that it happens. If somebody's like talking about, I've literally seen people's videos where they have either called out like on the page and said, like, I wasn't really interested, but then on like page 126 when that person got murdered, please don't do that. Or even if people were like, I mean, I'm fine if people are like, it's a slow burn and then it like speeds up, but like don't call out a specific page, or like in the 10th chapter, you know, when the reveal happens, or I'm on page 150 and like we just got to like this shocking twist. Like, I don't want to know. No, you can tell me that there's a twist that shocked you. You can tell me something surprised you. You can tell me people die. But although I don't even want to know that people die, that counts as spoilers for me. Anyway, I'm over. We went left. I'm gonna stop now. I'll keep you guys posted. Ah. Hey guys, it's Friday afternoon. I'm in the very, 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 very home stretch of misery. I feel like there's so much action packed into the end of it, and I'm loving it. And I'm like super excited to finish the book. Misery murdering that police officer was beyond brutal, beyond brutal. And I was reading it last night before bed because I was like, I'll just read like a little bit more of this. So far, it's like it hasn't been bad. I mean, the axe to the ankle thing was a lot, but at the same time, got through it. It was fine. So I was reading it last night, and I feel very Sundown Motel. I'm like do, flip the page, and then I'm like, oh my God. And I could not have her running over his head with a lawnmower being the last thing in my mind. So I was like, I'll just read a little bit more because surely we'll get past this and I can somehow get something better in my brain. just got worse. So eventually I had to stop reading last night because I was tired and I needed to go to bed. So try to finish it tonight. We'll see what happens. I need to video edit for Sunday, and it is like 70 degrees out right now. So I'm gonna get changed and I'm gonna go for a walk because it's gonna rain tomorrow. Everyone is outside right now. Like I can hear it, I can see it. Working all day. This is like the first like real spring fever day where I'm kind of like chomping at the bit. So I'm gonna go out, but I almost wish, and I feel like I'll see when I get to the end of the book, but my thought right now is I almost wish Annie was doing not full blown like running over people with lawnmowers, but I almost wish she like cut off his thumb sooner or like was slowly chipping away at him literally, because unless it was just supposed to be like such a shock. Like we knew she was crazy. We knew that she had murdered all these people, which didn't strike me as totally shocking. And I don't know if it's because it's been like 35 years since this book came out and I've seen and read so many other things that seem far more disturbing to me. Like this kind of feels like, sure, yeah, she killed a couple people and then she killed a couple more and then she did some more. So I almost feel like if she had done something brutal to him at the beginning, then every time she came in the room, it would be more terrifying. But maybe it was just supposed to be that she was slowly chipping away at him psychologically. And then it was just such a jarring shock when she did axe on it. It's just not funny, but I was more like, oh my God. So maybe that's the reaction you were supposed to have. But I wasn't feeling any kind of tension throughout the book. But now it's like every time she comes in the room, like we're all terrified that she might be doing something, and like it finally started to get tense. So I don't know. I'll see how I feel by the end of it. That's where I'm at now. We are in the home stretch, and then I'm really, really interested to see how this winds up translated onto the screen and like what they keep and what they change, and if things had to be dialed back because of the gruesome detail of it all. But I'm curious how they're going to do it. So I'm going to get moving on the stuff I need to do, but I just wanted to give you some live thoughts for the day, and I'll see you when I see you guys. Hi everybody, it is Thursday, March 24th, and I have intentionally taken almost a week since I finished reading Misery, and I watched the movie on Sunday night, and I was just trying to like process it all, and then work has just been completely insane. So I've been going for lots of walks every night. This is the first night I'm not going for a walk because it rained like buckets today and I just don't feel like it. And it's been a long week and there's only one day left. But I wanted to pop on and give some final thoughts about Misery. So at this stage of the game, we know where you're in full spoiler mode. So I will say I definitely enjoyed like the rest of the book from the last time that I checked in. So I liked, he finally brought out some more horror, which was good. And more, not like spooky horror, but just sort of like it got bloody and messed up and a fight to the death and kind of like this like pop up at the end and like, is she dead or isn't she dead? She's totally dead. But I very much liked how the book ended, and I almost feel like I understand the need to set the, like the norm like set the current world before things go off the rails and sort of build up what it was like for Paul to be held captive and not sure what was going on with Misery. But I really feel like it wasn't until she chopped his foot off that I don't want to say like it didn't get good until then, but I never felt that real tension of the book up until that point. Because once that happened, because even though she would sort of like snap and mood switch, I was never really feeling like, oh my God, what's this lady gonna do next? Like I knew that she was creepy, but again, I stayed spoiled free for this, other than that illusion in the movie that they show where she has the sledgehammer at his ankles, which was their version of like chopping off his foot, which I both liked and didn't like that they went in that direction. Like I totally understand why they did, and it was like gross because they did like a prosthetic foot or whatever so you could see it flop. Well played. And I also understand how in 1990 like hacking the foot off and everything might have been too much for film, but all that to say, I feel like it wasn't until that happened that then like in the book when she like chopped his foot off, that like then every time she came in the room I was like, what is this lady gonna do next? And when she would be like sweet and normal, it was almost more terrifying than when she came in and like cut his thumb off. So not that I wanted it, and not that I think it would have been successful if it started totally off the rails, but I felt like there was a little too much like build up in the beginning that I wasn't as pulled to the page until later in the book. And also the book within the book really shut me down at the beginning. Really, really shut me down. So the audiobook helped tremendously and I highly recommend it. It's so well done. And I actually wound up maybe the last 30 pages, I listened to the audio and read along with it, which was great because the audiobook narrator not only got me through the book within the book, which I just really just didn't care for, but really nailed Misery's voice. So as it was escalating, maybe it was even like the last 20 pages or something, but as it like was escalating and escalating towards the end, I found that to be a great way to listen to it and to really feel it, if that makes sense. So I totally understand why people like this book. I completely recognize what makes it a great book. I love the psychological horror of it. I love the commentary that he's making about fans, and I completely feel like, I mean, I'm not Misery, but, or I mean, I'm not Annie, but I kind of feel like I certainly get mad at certain writers and like TV show writers and book writers and things like that, and favorite characters are no longer with us, or when people make choices, and sometimes I get mad at, you know, actors who opt out of the shows they're in and wind up getting killed off, but not to that degree, so let's not get too crazy about it. But I wound up reading some stuff from Stephen King about the book because I just didn't want to like risk anything, and he had talked about, I had thought this was inspired by when he was hit by the car in Maine. And not that he was like left for dead or anything, but like somebody hit him when he was out for a walk, but that actually happened later. This was inspired by the fact that he wrote a book and a whole bunch of people, I guess, or fans were just like so mad at him for like the direction he went in and for not doing, like it wasn't the same as books he had done previously, and like people just want the same thing from him. So it was sort of that fan reaction. And then he also talked about how Misery was cocaine for him because this is when he was still struggling with drugs and had a drug problem, and it was like the thing that helped him write and that he needed to write but like wouldn't ever leave him, and just sort of very interesting thinking about it and like understanding what inspires writers, of course, is what I love. So I took a couple of days and then I wound up watching the movie, which didn't scare me, which doesn't surprise me. So Kathy Bates was tremendous in this. This came out in 90 or 91. I think 1990. She won the Best Actress Academy, or Best Supporting Actress Academy Award. And it stays like kind of true to the book, but there's extra characters put in to create more stories. So Richard Farnsworth, for anyone who watched like the original Anne of Green Gables, like he was Matthew. So good. But I think part of the challenge with the movie was I knew what was going to happen, so there was no real tension to any of it. And then there's definitely like a good like fight scene finale with them at the end. It's like a little off the rails. But there were lots of changes to it. And I think like my real issue, and I even like hate to use that word because it sounds like way too dramatic, but James Caan plays Paul, the writer. And I know he was in Godfather, which I've never seen. It's fine. I have no interest, I know, which is probably going to make even more people be like, what? So I know he's like famous for that sort of tough guy role. I know James Caan as Ed Line from Las Vegas. So every time he talks, I'm hearing Ed, and he never, like, he didn't really seem scared of her. And like, I know when he was Ed DeLine, like he was always really charming, but he was a little bit of that tough guy, but he never seemed to act like he wasn't going to get out of this alive, where I feel like in the book, there was more of that fear on the part of Paul, where this lady is nuts and I don't know that I'm going to survive this. Whereas I feel like James Caan played it very much as like, okay, who's surprised the battery died? And my backup battery wasn't charged. So just, it's a little bit later. Where was I? Other than Crooked. So Misery, the movie, James Caan. He definitely did not have, I don't feel like he was, not that he's not a bad actor, but I never felt the fear that Paul had in the book, or the idea that like I'm never going to get out of this. Or also, I mean, in all fairness, I mean, she broke his ankles in the movie, but she never cut off his thumb. Or as bad as I feel like the sledgehammer to the ankles was, I'm guessing an axe to your ankle is probably worse. And then the cop scene in the book, when the cop shows up, is totally different. And he's more of a witness to things and more understands him trying to save himself can result in other people dying, and that she is totally crazy. So I don't think he was great. And then of course after I watched the movie, I did some research on the movie just out of curiosity about some stuff, and he was like the 12th actor they picked, which kind of makes some sense. And I guess there was a quote from Stephen King where, I don't know where they were or what it was, or I don't even know if this was in writing, which I don't remember, but somebody had asked him, it was probably an interview somewhere, if he was Paul Sheldon, and if like that was the inspiration, and if he's the writer in Misery and whatever. And he made some sort of comment, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but he like loosely said like, Paul Sheldon is a lot of things. Like I envisioned him being a lot of things, or I saw Paul Sheldon as a lot of people, but I never saw him as James Caan. So I guess like take that for what it is. But it just didn't seem like he just wasn't scared. And I would think that like once it dawns on you that she is not out for your best interest, she is not actually calling for help, and you are stuck with this woman and she is going to do harm to you, that maybe you would be kind of terrified. So he seemed to have much more opportunity to escape and came much closer to escape in the movie than the book. And I understand you gotta like do what you gotta do for Hollywood. So the movie, I think if I had not read the book, might have been a bit entertaining. The book is better than the movie, but Kathy Bates is absolutely amazing. But kind of in the Pet Sematary book to movie comparison, my gosh, it's a little dated. Obviously, I mean, it's the 90s. And there's much more police investigation in the movie, which again, I understand you have to do. But it wasn't scary to me, even though Kathy Bates did a great job of like switching in between being, and it was almost like, she was almost more terrifying when she was sweet to him, because you're like, you'd seen the crazy side of her. So when she was nice, you're like, ooh, really? So I don't know. But like, I'm glad I saw it. It's totally fine. It wasn't groundbreaking to me. The book was better. And at the end of the day, I don't know. I kind of feel like 3.5 to 4 stars for me. He's a great writer. I completely, and it's like, even I feel like you can see from a dog earring standpoint, I feel like I should always get out of the picture. The second half of the book, I dog-eared like crazy. The first half, there's like 2 dog ears. So I feel like that should tell you part of it. Although there were a couple, I will say, when I was listening to the audiobook, which I got from my library, and I of course have had to return. So I know that there were a couple other lines in here that were good. But I enjoyed his writing commentary. Like, a lot of that sat with me, the point of view of the writer, how he approaches the work, and just all the way down to like the pen you use and the paper you're writing on and all that kind of stuff, or the paper you're typing on in his case. So I really liked it. Like, I completely appreciate Stephen King as a writer, and I will continue to check out some of his books. So I have The Shining, and then I want to say I have Lissy's Story. I think that's what it's called. And I think that's it. So I'm not going to like rush out and buy everything under the sun. I'm curious enough about him as an author to continue to pick up things when they feel right to me. I'm just completely impressed with him as a writer, though, in terms of not just how prolific he is, but there is no doubt that he has had such an impact on so many other authors, so much impact on the genre. He is amazing to me. Like, I bow down to him on a writer level completely. And it was good. I did not like it. It just took me I just felt like it was slow at the start. It took me a while to get into it. And once I did, I was good to go. There were definitely some super cringeworthy scenes. And I finally read it. And I read it before winter. Even though this is going up, even though it's officially spring when this goes up, I finished it Friday the 18th. So under the wire. And then I watched the movie on Sunday, which was the first day of spring. But watching the movie was just a cherry on top. But there you have it. So, Misery. I read it. I finally read it. And I'm glad I read it. And there was no point that I wanted to DNF it in a not liking it kind of a way. And if you're interested in it, I mean, I realize I've spoiled the entire thing. So odds are, if you have made it this far or are watching this vlog, you've already read it too, or you have no plans to read it. I don't know if I have inspired anyone to read it, even though you know how it all ends. He lives, she dies. But I'm glad I read it. I'm really glad I read it. And I do think there's lots to be gleaned from him from a writing standpoint. So there you have it. But again, if you guys have been here this entire time, thank you so much. At the time of me filming this, I'm not quite sure how long it's gonna last or how long this video is, because I have no concept of it, because I haven't put it all together yet. But thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys really soon in another video. But until then, take care, everybody. Bye.